Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report is on a very cool rifle that I have been looking forward to getting a chance to shoot and review. And this is the LMT, or Lewis Machine & Tool, New Zealand Military Contract Example Rifle. Yeah, this is just really cool. And if you like tactical firearms, and especially ones with military provenance, I think you're definitely going to be interested in this. Well, before I talk about the things that I like and don't like about this rifle and exactly what this rifle is, I want to thank the people that always make these videos possible. First and foremost is the owner of this awesome rifle, and that is my good friend and logo subscriber named D. D, thank you so much. And by the way, he also lent me the Estonian contract rifle as well, which I will be reviewing very soon as well. I want to thank my Patreon supporters as always, because through their monthly donations and support, they help keep the lights on around here. As you guys know, I am a demonetized channel. Apparently, I'm a bad boy here on YouTube, and my stuff isn't monetizable, so I really appreciate my Patreon supporters. And as always, I want to thank the person that provides all of the ammunition for these range reports, thus making them financially feasible. That is my good friend Mark from Brownworks. And you guys know I talk about Brownworks in almost every range report. Brownworks is a custom grip company making some of the finest wood grips for a wide variety of firearms out of a wide variety of exotic woods and materials. Let me tell you, Mark over there is an artist. He is a craftsman. He makes one-of-a-kind, one-off sets of grips for high-end firearms. I know if you're here watching this range report, you like high-end guns like this LMT. So I know you have a lot of other high-end guns in your collection, and I bet you want to make those customized and personalized to your taste. Well, I have the perfect grip company for you, Brownworks. I'm going to put a link in the description below and also as a pinned comment. Go over there and see what he has to offer. He can put on custom logos and engravings, finish these grips in a wide variety of colors and different ways. And if you're not in the market for wood grips, he also has other services such as laser engraving magazines like this PMag here with the Texas Gun Vault logo. How cool is that? But if you don't want a Texas Gun Vault logo, he can put something else on there as well as on AK magazines and 1911 magazines. So I'm going to ask you guys to go over there, check out and see what he has to offer. I'm also going to put a 10% discount code in that link so you guys can get 10% off your first order. And if you have any questions, make sure to contact Mark. And when you do, tell him the Texas Gun Vault sent you. Alright, so let's talk about what this rifle is. I've already told you it is the New Zealand Contract Example Rifle from Lewis Machine & Tool. A few years ago, New Zealand had a contract bid for someone to replace all of their aging rifles with new ones, and LMT won that contract, and they built it to New Zealand specifications. We have a monolithic railed upper receiver, we have a SOP mod stock, we have a direct impingement gas system versus a gas piston system. The controls of the lower receiver are all ambidextrous. So there was a lot of things that New Zealand wanted. And once they fulfilled that contract, LMT was like, you know, we think a lot of people on the collector's market and just general AR-15 lovers are going to love what we built. So they made a 16-inch barrel version of this. So this is a non-NFA firearm, but built pretty much to the same specifications. But because it's for the civilian side, it's semi-automatic only. But the rifle looks the same, it functions the same, it's just really cool. And if you like rifles with military provenance, you're probably going to like this, especially if you're a collector and really like high-end AR-15s. Well, let's talk about the things that I like about this rifle. And this list is going to be long because this is one outstanding rifle. And LMT is a company that I have grown to love and appreciate in the past few years. The first thing I love about this is the fact it is an LMT. Let me tell you, Lewis Machine & Tool makes some of the best AR-15s out there. They might not have the name recognition as maybe a Daniel Defense or Colt, but they make some of the best stuff out there, and they mainly focus on military and police contracts. So when you see their stuff on the civilian side, it's kind of rare. I don't know why they don't put out more civilian rifles, but they really should, because they make some of the best stuff out there. I'm also a huge fan, and I've already told you about it, of this monolithic railed upper receiver with the quad rails. I know for a lot of people, quad rails are so yesterday, and everyone likes all the M-LOK stuff. Well, I like quad rails personally. I like the way that they look, and maybe it's just because it comes from the era of when I was getting into firearms, that quad rails were just the thing, and so I've always liked that look and that feel. Yeah, I like M-LOK too, but the quad rails just have that look for me. The next thing I really like about this, and this is kind of alluding to something I'm going to talk about on Sunday with the Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week about gas piston versus direct impingement system guns. Well, this has a direct impingement gas system. It's the way Eugene Stoner designed the AR-15. It's lighter, yeah, it runs a little bit dirtier over the piston system, but it does keep the weight down. And I've always preferred gas impingement guns over the piston ones when it comes to AR-15s. I also like this stock that comes with this rifle. This is essentially LMT's copy of the SOP mod stock, which you would originally find on the Mark 18s of yesteryear. This is a very comfortable and robust stock. I also like the LMT grips. It kind of looks like an ergo grip, but the material that they make these out of is a little bit harder plastic than the ergo grips. I don't like the ergo grips, but I like the LMT grips. These things feel great in my hand. They're a little bit bigger than your standard A2 style grips that you'll find on AR-15s, but it's not overly big, and they're very comfortable. Even though they do have finger grooves, I find that no one really has problems with those, and it's not really sharp edged. So I think they're very accommodating to a large variety of hand sizes and shapes. I'm also a big fan of this muzzle device that they put on these rifles. This is a Surefire flash hider. Now, I'm not sure of the exact model. I think it says here it is the War Comp, but I would have to double check on that. But this flash hider is absolutely fantastic, and you guys know Surefire makes some of the best stuff out there. Let me see if I can get that into focus. Sometimes this camera can be a little bit on the weird side. Well, it's not showing up there on the camera too well, but go look up the Surefire War Comp and you'll see what this flash hider looks like. I'm also a big fan of the LMT iron sights, and even though this rifle is set up with this awesome EOTech Voodoo, the iron sights that come with this is awesome. So if you're not going to run any type of magnified optic on it, these LMT sights are awesome. I think that their sights, honestly, are the best when it comes to mil-spec AR-15s. And the last thing I really like about this gun is the Mars L lower. Now, this is kind of LMT's thing when it comes to having a completely ambidextrous lower receiver that still takes all mil-spec parts. It's really nice. I think it's a great evolution of the AR-15 or M16 lower receiver. It is well built, it is finished well, and with all of those controls, whether you're a right-handed shooter or a left-handed shooter, it's going to be a very comfortable gun for you to shoot. And I really think that LMT just did a fantastic job with that lower receiver. All right, so now let's talk about the things that I don't like. And really, I had a hard time coming up with anything. But there is one thing that I'm not the biggest fan of, but I could live with, and that is all of these rifles come with a two-stage trigger. I actually prefer single-stage triggers just because I find them to be able to shoot a little bit faster. Two-stage triggers are really good, especially for longer distance shooting or more accurate shooting. You guys know I'm someone that likes to shoot faster. I'm not a long-range or distance shooter. The two-stage triggers can be really good and finely tuned with a pretty short reset, a little bit of take-up, and a very crisp wall. But for me personally, I've always liked the feel of single stage triggers. Now that's just going to be a personal preference, but when it comes to a two-stage trigger, I don't think you can get any better than LMT. So really, it's not really something that I don't like. It's just kind of, I wish they would have a single stage option for this rifle, but I understand why they put in their 2-stage trigger as well. So it's not really something bad. It's just what I personally like. All right, so let's get this rifle to the range. I cannot wait to shoot this. So I'm gonna load up one of these magazines, set the target out at 15 yards, just make sure that this scope is 0, just see how this gun shoots, see how the trigger feels, see if I have any function issues. So let's just put some rounds down range and see what happens. And as expected, the gun ran great. It's accurate. The 2-stage trigger really is nice. The one thing I really have to say is the gun is a little bit on the heavy side. For a DI gun, I really like them to be as light as possible. And this monolithic upper receiver just adds a little bit of weight, but it's very, very manageable. The recoil on this firearm is extremely light. And I do find that the DI guns have a little bit less report than a piston gun. So it's not as loud, but it shoots great, feels great, and I really like this stock. All right, so I'm going to continue shooting offhand. I'm going to go out to as far out as I can on this range, and once again, this is the only range I have available to film at. So a lot of people say I don't give these guns a full review because I don't take them out to 100 or 150 yards. However, this is the best that I can do at this indoor range. So I'm going to put the target out at 25 yards, still shooting offhand. I'm going to go for the head on the silhouette target. Just see what happens to this group. I know this gun's still going to be very accurate, but let's just put another magazine through it and see how I do. And pretty much I get the exact same results. The gun is accurate. Now, when I was taking my time at this longer distance, I could definitely feel the front heaviness of this gun. And once again, that is the downside to the monolithic upper receiver. You know, the balance of a rifle for me is really important. And I kind of like to have the center of gravity a little bit back towards the pistol grip. But for me, the center of gravity really is a little bit more towards the front of the gun. I would say it's probably right about this area versus over the ejection port. And when you're holding the rifle, you kind of feel that, and the gun kind of wants to droop a little bit. And so if you're taking your time and you're going through 20 or 30 rounds in a magazine, you begin to feel that weight. But as I said, that's just a minor complaint. The gun shoots great, extremely light recoiling. It is just a lot of fun. All right, so now I am going to bench rest this. Now, because this is one of those really nice cold hammer forged LMT barrels, they say they're extremely accurate. So I'm gonna bench rest this thing, still at 25 yards, and I'm hoping this group is really going to tighten up. So let's see how it performs. And that is exactly what I was expecting to happen. Putting rounds through the same holes over and over again. This gun is exceptionally accurate. And you know, this two-stage trigger, well, that's where this type of trigger really shines, in this type of shooting. It is super crisp. That take-up is so light. The wall is very, very predictable. I really like it. So for this type of shooting, this trigger is awesome. And as you can see, the gun is just exceptionally accurate. So from a function standpoint, the gun is simply awesome. All right, so now I want to give my wife Becky a chance to shoot this. You guys know she loves AR-15s, and I'm curious what she's going to say about this. This is very similar to her own personal AR. Well, not exact, but it's kind of in that configuration that she does like. She likes the wider hand guards out front. So I'm curious if she's going to say anything about the weight as well. So let's just see how she does and what she says. And she shot this rifle really well, which is what I was expecting. She really liked this two-stage trigger, but did talk about the weight of the gun. She said it was a little bit front heavy, and when she's holding it up for a long period of time, it does kind of weigh you down a little bit. But other than that, she absolutely loved it. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, of course, is the quick magazine change. Now, this is where I think this two-stage trigger is going to start getting in the way. I'm trying to shoot this gun fast, drop the magazine, get a new one in, get the gun back in action. But as I said, with these two-stage triggers, sometimes it's really kind of hard to get a stable rhythm or a consistency with the trigger pull. Sometimes I'll get like a little 2 or 3 round burst really fast, and then there's kind of a break. It's just kind of weird to feel and something that I have to get used to, and that's where those single stage triggers I find to be so much quicker. But let's see how I do. And of course, this gun has those ambi controls, so if you're right-handed or left-handed, dropping this magazine should be really easy. So let's see how fast I can do this. And as you see, I just couldn't get a very consistent rhythm, and it has to do with the take-up of the two-stage trigger. I can still shoot it pretty fast, it just doesn't have that even rhythm. Well, I'm going to try to do a complete 30-round mag dump next, just see, now that I know how this trigger reacts, if I can do any better, and I can shoot this gun really fast. Now, if this was really a big deal, I could always change this trigger out, probably to like a single-stage Geisley trigger, and get really good performance. But of course, if I had a rifle like this, I would want to keep it all stock, all LMT, because I think it's the cool way to go and it's the more collectible way to go. But if you don't care about that, I think going with a single stage trigger for speed would be a good choice. All right, so let me put a mag through this thing, just mag dump it, see how fast I can shoot it and if I can shoot it any more consistent. And so that wasn't my fastest mag dump ever, but I can still shoot the rifle relatively quick. So I'm pretty happy with it, and I would definitely keep the two-stage trigger in here because I think most of the shooting you would do with a semi-auto rifle like this, you are going to take your time. And this trigger is really, really nice. But if you are doing maybe competition shooting, changing that trigger out might be the way to go. But you would have to know for your own shooting style and preferences. So, what are my final thoughts on the LMT New Zealand contract example rifle? Well, you guys can already tell I am gushing over this rifle. This thing pretty much fits the bill for everything I look for in an AR-15. It has military provenance, it's tactical, it's accurate, it's fun, it has all the features I absolutely love. It is extremely high quality. It is just one cool and awesome rifle, and I have honestly fallen in love with this thing. And as I have mentioned in a couple of videos over on the Texas Gun Vault 2, this thing has really excited me to try to find one to purchase it for my own collection. So people tell me all the time that I help them spend their money because I review a gun or talk about a gun and they have to go out and buy it. Well, this is one of those things where I review a gun and I'm like, man, I'm sure glad that Dee let me borrow this because I really want one now. I really haven't been this excited about a rifle in a long time. This thing is simply awesome, and I'm just blown away with its quality, its options, everything about it I absolutely love. So on my star system, how would I rate the LMT New Zealand contract example rifle? Well, you already know I'm going to give this thing 5 out of 5 stars. It is a perfect review. This gun is awesome and amazing. Probably the biggest downside to it would be the price. This thing is a very expensive rifle. Now, LMTs are already really expensive, but you're probably going to pay between $700 to $1,000 more for this rifle just because of its options and the fact it is that New Zealand contract example. So it's kind of a collector's piece as well. But man, is it cool. Is it worth that price? Well, only you know for yourself. But I can tell you this is a gun that has quickly shot to the top of my personal want list. So 5 out of 5 stars, LMT New Zealand contract example rifle. Just something really, really cool. And I am so glad that I got to shoot this. It is just simply awesome. So thank you, Dee, once again for giving me this opportunity. So what do you guys think? Do you own any LMT rifles? Do you own this particular New Zealand contract rifle? And do your experiences with it echo mine? I would love to know in the comment section below. So, as always, thanks for watching.